I'm going to do the middle of the popsicle and the popsicle stick first. So I'm going to use my white icing. So the way that you open your bag is important in decorating these cookies. You want to find the seam and flatten it on the top and the center, and then cut a very small opening. Think as small as like a pencil lead. You can always cut it bigger if you cut too small. If you cut too big, you can't make it smaller again. So it's very tiny. So I'm just going to outline the popsicle stick here. And then following my outline, but just using heavier pressure, I'm going to fill in, trying not to have any gaps. Then I want to have stripes. I'll do red, white, and blue. So I want my white to be in the center. So I'm just gonna try and eyeball it. Do a couple stripes across that look right about the center. And then again, I'm going to fill in following my outline, trying not to have any gaps in my icing. I like to have a paper towel underneath my cookie when I decorate, because one way to get your icing nice and smooth is to give your cookie a little shake or a little tap. And I find that easier to do by moving my paper towel instead of moving the cookie. That way I don't mess up any of the edges of my cookie that I just made look so nice. So I'm just going to take my finger and scrape the side here. I got a little too much icing. You can always use your toothpick to even out your icing. And if your icing is not smooth, you could give it a little shake like this, or even a very gentle little tap. Be careful not to pick this cookie up by the popsicle stick. It could break very easily. So now I'm going to set this aside to dry. And I'll move on to the rocket cookie. Royal icing can take a long time to dry. You can use a small fan to speed up the drying time of your icing, but we always want to let it dry in between steps, in between colors. So I'm going to start with the blue here for this rocket cookie. So again, find the seam, flatten it on the top and the center, and cut a very small opening. And I'm actually going to do a wet on wet technique where I add polka dots to this blue background while the blue is still wet. So it makes the polka dots sink in and makes it look like it's more of a background and not a decoration that's on top. So again, just making an outline here for where I want my design to be. I'm going to completely fill it in. I think that my opening is a little too small. My icing is curling up on me. So I'm going to cut it just a little bit bigger. And that should help me fill in my cookie faster. Now that I have my blue icing nice and smooth, I'm going to go ahead and add some polka dots. Now if you've moved quickly enough, your dots should just sink right in to the blue background. But if they don't, you could give each one just a little poke. So that's all I'm going to do for now on the rocket cookie. I'm going to set this one aside to dry. Next will be the star cookie, and I want to decorate it kind of in a tie-dye type type of way that'll make it look like a firecracker. So I want to do all 3 colors. So I need to open up the red. So find the seam, flatten it on the top and the center, and cut a small opening. I'm going to kind of start in the center and make a swirling motion all the way around my cookie. Now I'm just going to make it a little bit thicker. I'm going to come with the other colors and go right next to it. Now I'm just going to take my toothpick and starting at the center, I'm going to work my way out. I'm going to swipe my toothpick and clean it each time. I'm just going towards each of the corners of the star. And then I'll do probably 2 more in between. Each time I'm swiping, I'm cleaning my toothpick in between to get nice clean color. Alright, so now I'm just going to kind of clean up my edges. Maybe give my cookie a little shake. And then any holes I have, I can fill in by just poking with the tip of my toothpick. Right here, maybe I'll do just a tad more icing. So this is a really fun wet on wet technique that gives a really dramatic effect of tie-dye or a starburst for firecracker with minimal effort. So this cookie is done. So I'm going to let my cookies dry for about at least 20 minutes in between the next steps. If you have a fan, you could put a small fan on your cookies, but you have your whole dozen here, so if you want to go ahead and do first steps on these while these are drying, by the time you're done, you could probably go back around and finish. Alright, now that our cookies have had some time to dry, let's finish them up. This popsicle cookie, I'm going to do red on the top and blue on the bottom. So I'm just going to outline following the shape of the cookie. And then next to my white icing. And then fill in. Add some sprinkles on the top here. there's our popsicle cookie. And let's finish our rocket cookie. I'm going to do the nose of the rocket red. And then on the bottom, I'm going to make kind of like the wick. So I think I'll do white. Just like a little stick here that the rocket can stick in the ground or wherever you might set it to set it off. I'm gonna take my red and just kind of come off to the side here, and I think I'll put a sprinkle there. Maybe this gold star. Maybe not. I'll do just the red, more like it's fire coming out. Alright, so here are our Patriotic Royal Icing cookies. I hope that you enjoyed decorating these with me. For more inspiration, check out my buttercream icing patriotic cookie decorating video.